Hello, happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of Love is Your Medicine podcast. I am Mitch Wright. Guess what? I've been teasing you about it. Today is the second episode of my interview special, Love's Prescription. And today I am going to have my very own lovely, wonderful bride. Yep, my wife Michelle will join me. I hope you enjoy. I have been looking forward to this interview. A lot of good things on it. Stay tuned. Here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Love is Your Medicine podcast. I am Mitch Wright. As I said in the intro, I have another special treat for you today. This is another episode of Love's Prescription, Real People, Real Love. And I have been looking forward to this interview because this person is someone very, very close to me. At first, she was hesitant about doing the interview, but she says she is ready. And so I've been looking forward to it. I'd like to introduce you to my lovely wife, Michelle. Hello, Michelle.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing good.
There you go.
Nervous, but yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
That's good. No need to be nervous. We're just having a normal, casual conversation.
Right.
So, yeah, this is you helped me start this special feature of my podcast, Love's Prescription, Real People, Real Love, and it's just where I wanted to interview people that I see have made changes and realized that they wanted to fix things within themselves and do better, and they're working at it each and every day. So that's why I approached you first, wanting to have you on here. So I appreciate you coming on, deciding to come on and share your story with us.
No problem. When I suggested this, I didn't realize I was going to be part of it.
Oh yeah. All right. So, Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you were born, how you, what kind of formed you as a young person.
Well, I was born in Newark, New Jersey, was not there very long, just a hot minute before we moved to Washington State, where my grandparents live.
Okay.
And let's see, what formed me? A lot of different things. I was a military brat, moved around a lot in my younger years. And when I was 15, came to Washington to live with my grandparents, and that's where I've been for 30 years.
All right. So did you, what about siblings? How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 brothers, 2 sisters. My parents were divorced when I was young. So on my mom's, with my mom, I have 3 brothers, 1 sister. My dad has a daughter as well. So my sister there, we weren't raised together though. I was raised with my other siblings.
Okay. All right. And so you as a person, how are you generally? Are you outgoing, shy?
I am an introvert unless I'm around those that I'm very comfortable with. And then I'm very talkative, outgoing. But overall, as a person, I'm incredibly shy, especially new situations, um, meeting new people. It's very overwhelming and can cause a lot of anxiety for me. But once I'm comfortable or, in a small group of friends, things like that, I can be very talkative and very outgoing.
Okay. And so did anything, like, how was life for you, say, in school? Like, how were you in school growing up?
Painfully shy. My mom would always push me to get to know people. She signed me up for Girl Scouts. I was in baton when we lived overseas in Germany. And just my mom grew up painfully shy as well. So she didn't want me to be the same way. But it would make me sick, just being in a new situation, getting to know people. I was incredibly shy. I would just refuse to talk. I just wouldn't. Anytime, in school when you have to do presentations and get up in front of people, I would take an F before I would get up in front of people. And my grades meant a lot to me, but I'm sorry, that just was not my thing. I just couldn't even make myself do it. It was that bad.
Yeah, you've changed a lot now.
It's still a struggle, but now I can actually go forward and do it. I really did let that anxiety be a big part of my life. Honestly, I'd say up until maybe 10 years ago, I really started changing that part of me, but it was a really big thing. I couldn't do it.
And then other than being shy, was there anything else that caused you anxiety about being around people, or your confidence level?
I had no confidence in myself. I had a lot of things that had happened to me. I was never really built up to have any kind of self-confidence. And so I just didn't have any. I didn't think I had anything to offer, even though I didn't understand at the time, especially, when you're young, you don't understand that all of this trauma, or lack of confidence is why you're holding yourself back. But yeah, I just didn't have any self-confidence, didn't think I was worth anything, didn't think I had anything to offer. And so that's why I would sit back.
Mm-hmm. And like the self-confidence, was it just in you, or was it because of things people said, or?
I think it was just, so from what I've been told, I've always been shy, from a young girl. But where I really feel that as a parent, you can mold and help your children work through some of those natural tendencies. If that's not nurtured and built up in your children, then it can either, it can mold them. So if you don't help your children work through that, they can still just have anxiety. But if situations happen in their lives that can make them feel less than, that will definitely perpetuate those feelings of worthlessness. And that's what happened to me.
Okay. All right. So it was kind of what I'm hearing is maybe just surroundings and circumstances kind of help aid the lack of self-confidence.
Definitely. Yeah. I think you can, some people, you see kids at the store and some are very outgoing and talkative and others are a little shyer. And I think, circumstances and situations can nurture or hinder whatever your natural tendency is.
Mm-hmm. And so Like, did that get worse in your teen years?
Definitely.
Yeah. And so how did that affect your relationships with making friends too at school, or did you do anything like, okay, I know some people, they either just shy away, like you said, an introvert, others overcompensate or try to go above and beyond to get attention. Like, which one did you find yourself being?
I wanted to be invisible. I didn't want attention at all. Don't talk to me. Don't see me. I would sit in the back of the classroom. I would sit in the back of the bus. I just didn't want to be seen by anyone. If I was new to a school, because like I said, I moved around a lot. If I was new to a school, I would sit in the lunchroom in a corner by myself and hope no one would come up to me.
And as you transition into an adult, how did that affect your life? Like, either with your family or your career?
I would let people walk all over me, personal or professional. So at work, my personal relationships at home with my family, anything, I just would let people walk all over me because I didn't want to be seen. So I didn't want to cause a scene. I didn't want to argue. I didn't want conflict. I just would sit back and let people walk all over me.
So what I'm hearing is you weren't completely loving yourself just yet.
Not even close. I grew up, as long as I can remember, hating myself. I mean, it was not only I didn't love myself, I hated myself in the worst, possible ways.
Mm-hmm. And that, being your husband, that always hurt me, to hear when we discuss our past and everything. Like, when did you realize that you wanted to change, that you didn't want to feel like that, hate yourself?
I would say the last 5 years have been the most that I've ever wanted to make changes. But I mean, you and I have been together for almost 18 years. So the whole time, your followers know that you've been married before. I've been married before. So at the end of that relationship, I knew I needed to make changes. The beginning of our relationship, again, still knew I needed to make changes, but kind of didn't know how and didn't want to address. I just wanted to love myself now, but I never wanted to address past trauma. So we just wanted to ignore it, but yet move on, not making that connection that you have to address the past trauma to move on. So I'd say the past 5 years have really been where I've actually been actively working to make changes in my life.
Mm-hmm. It's similar to myself. I was trying to push past trauma, sweep it under the rug, but I was only doing myself more harm. So you had made a point earlier. You said, I'm trying to remember how you worded it, but oh my goodness, when you get as old as I am, you forget that quickly.
Right, old man.
I was basically going to ask, when you said that you let people walk all over you, that's what it was. You said you would let people walk all over you. Did that transcend into relationships too? How you dealt with the opposite sex, like from your teen years to young adulthood? Did that transcend into like relationships as well?
Oh, absolutely. That's probably one of the biggest ways it did. Um, yeah, definitely relationships with the opposite sex, whatever they wanted. I didn't put up an argument, which put me in a lot of bad situations that I wish I would have ultimately avoided. But even being in bad situations, at least taken control or had the confidence to say no or stand up for myself. And I never did. I was in some really bad situations.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you were in bad situations, but you were like looking for something.
Definitely. Yeah, I was definitely looking for something. I was looking for that love that I didn't have for myself, not realizing you have to love yourself before anyone can you can find that true love, that anybody can truly love you. So I was searching for what I was missing in my life, my whole life, and that was someone to love and nurture me like I felt like I wanted. And so that's what I was looking for. And what does a young girl do when she's looking for love? Anything, if she feels that that person will love her. And being told, if you love me, you will, whatever is said. And that's what you do. And that's what I did. And ultimately I had my first child at 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you, at that point, like you say, you had your first child at 16, did that feel like it filled any void in your life?
It did at the time. Yeah, it did. So growing up, like you always say, without giving too much information, because, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Growing up, I was the oldest of all of my siblings. So I am the oldest. My mom had me young. Again, I'm the oldest there are 5 siblings in the household. So I'm the oldest. My younger siblings, I was a very large part of their daily life, from bottle feedings to, I just was a very large part of their life. So when I found out I was pregnant at 16, of course, the first was like, oh boy. I lived with my grandparents at the time, and being pregnant was not what scared me. Telling my grandpa is what scared me, So, but the being pregnant part didn't worry me. One, I already had a lot of experience being a parent. I mean, I don't know how else to word it, being a parent. But I was excited for the love. I had my own baby. I had my own love. Like again, that missing part of what I didn't have, I thought was going to fill that void, and in a way, he did. He was my world. And I, 16, had my baby boy and took care of him and did everything for him. I wanted to make changes and wanted to make sure I was a better person. And I thankfully never went down a bad path as far as drug use, drinking. That was just not my style. I had grown up in experiences where that was a daily part of what I lived with. And I never experimented with anything, because I had already been down that path as far as having a horrible life because of the effects of drugs and alcohol. And so I knew that wasn't what I wanted. But when I had my son, I was able to make sure that I stayed focused, and I graduated high school. I didn't miss school. My grandparents, my grandparents were extremely supportive. I lived with them. My grandparents watched my son while I went to school. By no means did they raise him. I raised him, and they were just there as a support system for me. I graduated high school with a 3.0. When I was supposed to graduate, I went to high school full time. My life changed as far as, I had someone who was reliant on me, but by no means was it a negative experience. Would I advocate for other people to have a child at 16? Absolutely not. But he bettered my life as far as making sure that I stayed on the right path and didn't continue down a path of self-destruction.
Yeah. So I think it filled some type of void, and it had to refocus on love and loving someone depending on you. But then it was still that other part. The other part of the void was probably still missing.
Yes, it was. Yep. And so I didn't have a relationship with my child's father, but I did get into a relationship when I was pregnant, and kind of for all the wrong reasons. He was a great guy. Just maybe shouldn't have jumped into a relationship at 16 when I needed to find myself, when I had a baby that, I needed to focus on. But yeah, I don't want to say too much about that. But
and I think it was just that was just part of the void that was missing. Like I went
for
through
sure.
that, jumped into a relationship too fast, and met and married her in like 4 months. So yeah, it's because of that void that I was missing. But I I wasn't putting two and two together, because like I said, the things that happened to me when I was younger, I just kept them locked away in my head. So we do stuff to fill that void. And that, like I always tell all my listeners, like, if you hear something that hits home, this isn't to make you feel bad or anything. It's just reality of life for some of us. So this is to help people that are listening, not to make anyone feel bad.
Yep, exactly.
And so then you're in that relationship, and like you said, it might not have been for the best reasons. And we, like I told you, and I'll tell all my guests, I'm not going to get too deep into personal stuff, but that void was still there. And so, and you already said that, you made choices that weren't the best. But then in 2006, something wonderful happened in your life.
Something wonderful did happen. I met my love. Yes. So 2006, you and I met. Two broken people who had done some stupid stuff, had been through a lot of trauma that neither of us acknowledged or dealt with, pushed under the rug, and continue to do for a very long time. But yeah, we met, and it had very, very recently ended both of our prior relationships, prior marriages, and started our relationship.
Yeah, like you said, we were two broken people. And I've already shared things about myself, but I'll go ahead and tell. Like I always allude to, I was brought up, in a faith where we had like certain morals and things we live by in our life. So I was raised into it. I dedicated my life to it when I was 16, but in my early 30s, I decided I was just gonna like take a break from that and live life, do my thing. And I had a plan, and I told everybody. I told my mom, I told my best friend at the time in Atlanta, I had a 2-year plan. I was going to do what Mitch wanted to do. And then 2 months into my 2-year plan, I met Michelle.
I saved you. You're welcome.
Yeah, and I'm not too proud to admit that. Yeah, you probably did save me, because I was like on the beginning of a very, very reckless lifestyle. So yeah, it's crazy how we met through a mutual friend, and yeah, 2 broken people. But we didn't realize at first, one, how broken we were, and then 2, like how both of us being broken would affect the relationship. But I will say, I will say though that, like, I did know that I wanted to be with you, because most of the time, like you said, it's just empty fulfillment. And so most of the women that I would deal with, they would get on my nerves so fast, because like we, mentally we weren't on the same level. We didn't mesh. But but when I met you, it was totally different, because we like talked nonstop. So I think that helped us to work through each other's pain and things we were doing to harm ourselves.
I think so too, because like you said, the other people you deal with, you're looking for something, you're going about it the wrong way, and what you're getting out of that, I can't even say relationship, out of that situation, just isn't fulfilling, because it's really not what you want, what you're looking for, but it's just kind of what you assume that you're looking for, that you need to fill that void. But when we met, it was completely different. We could talk for hours, and not about surface things, talk about, before we even met in person, just on the phone, we could talk about deep things that affected both of us, that it very quickly went into our past and things we had struggled with, which no one in the world knew a lot of that trauma, that I had been through. But with you, I could say something, you'd be like, oh, do you mean, and you would be able to expand on that feeling, which no one else I knew understood, or they might hear me, like, my ex would hear what I was saying, but couldn't understand it. But you just knowing, I'd say something, you'd be like, oh, you mean it feels like this, and I'm like, oh, like, you get it, you understand what I'm trying to say and how I feel.
Yeah. And I think you did the same for me as well. It's some people just don't understand the trauma that someone may have went through, or they may excuse me, they're quick to just see the actions and choices that some people make, and they dismiss it as something else. But yeah, I think we both recognized that we had both been through things, and we understood each other. What I liked about it too, we never judged each other. I didn't tell a lot of people things about my life because they would just judge me or think I was one particular way, when in reality, I was searching for something, ended up, searching for someone like you who could listen and understand, didn't want me to use me for anything. So yeah, I think it's great when we met, but we still had a long road ahead of us.
We had the longest road ever. There was a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns. It's It's been a
Yeah.
journey.
It has. But you know, with any journey, with the person you love is like worth it to me. And like you need someone in your life to support you. And I'm always saying that on my episodes to don't do it alone. Like you should have a support system, and if you need therapy, get therapy. But yeah, don't try to. No one should try to be on the journey alone. You have to have a support system, and you are mine. And I think I mentioned in a previous episode, you were very instrumental in like helping me to start the therapy journey, because something you always told me was like, even all the mistakes I made, that you knew that wasn't what defined me as a person. You knew that I was a better person than the actions and choices I was making. And so that always like moved me to want to do better.
No, because like all of the time we've been together, we just know each other. And we both know that other side of each other. The side that isn't really the true side. It's the side that takes over to protect you.
Mm-hmm. And we laugh about it, but we both have these alter egos that like Michelle just said, that part of our mind was used to protect us and get what we wanted for whatever reason. At least you didn't get your alter ego tattooed on your arm like I did.
I did not, thankfully. Yeah, I did not. She was used very much, but she was not tattooed on me.
So
no, but yeah, like you said, we both created these alter egos to protect ourselves, to use when we needed to get what we wanted out of whatever situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't a conscious, I'm going to create this alter. It just happened.
Mm-hmm. The more I was with you and the more we talked and worked through things, that's when I really kind of realized, like, yeah, I do have this whole other side to me. And the more I looked at it, I wasn't proud of it, the things that Big Mitch did. But yeah, I think that void where Big Mitch came into play, the closer you and I got, the more you pushed that side of me out. And and again, like I always tell everyone, it was not like a fast thing. It was a lot of work, a lot of years, and yeah, so don't think it's going to be some super quick fix when you're trying to fix yourself. I had a lot of growing up to do, even though I was 36 when Michelle and I met. Like, I was still doing someone much younger than me doing those type of actions and the thinking process. So I still had a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah, we both did it. It was just we dealt with it in different ways. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we both definitely had growing up. And I think I'm the only one that challenged Big Mitch, and wouldn't, like you said, prior relationships, they would just take it, let Big Mitch do what he wanted. And that's not who I am. I'm confrontational when it comes to a relationship like that. Like I've said earlier, I let people walk all over me, including relationships. There was a point, my ex and I were married for 10 years, and I did become a little more vocal and started coming into my own, but the way I took that, and I referred to myself as a B, And I didn't care. That was who I wanted to be because that's who I thought I needed to be to protect myself. So I'm a bee and I'm proud of it. And so that I started using in my marriage, my prior marriage. And he was a very soft-spoken, for the most part, whatever I laid down the law, he wasn't going to argue. So I took that and ran with it, but that's not who I wanted to be, and that's not who I am. And so it was a really uncomfortable position for me. I wanted a partnership, and that's not what it felt like, but that because of how I was. And that was, but that was my protection. That's what I was. And so the alter ego I had created was kind of like that. So that's why I didn't have a problem confronting Big Mitch, anytime he would rear his ugly head and do something, say something, try to come out, I'm going to fight. And that was a tumultuous first years for us, but neither of us were going to give up either.
Yeah, I think we were both fighting to keep each other.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And just so you all know, it was not physical.
Yeah.
It wasn't physical fighting. We were just we were both strong to get our points across. And yeah, so you helped me a lot in that. And so, okay, we got that side of it about the self-confidence, devoid of wanting love, someone to, like a true love. What else affected you in your adult years? Something else affected your confidence and how you viewed yourself? You just yesterday was the 2-year anniversary.
Oh, I'm thinking further back than that. Okay. So on my journey, so yes, yesterday, March 3rd, was my 2-year anniversary of I had gastric bypass surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I was always pretty thin. Had my son at 16. I was 110 pounds before I had him. After he was born, I got to like 120, back down to 120 pounds. So again, thin. I'm 5'2". And a series of health events happened, and I started gaining weight like gangbusters, 50 pounds in 2 months, and a lot of medical stuff, tests, this and that, doctors saying you're fat, lose weight, for years and years and years. Just kept getting worse until my highest weight was 330 pounds. Again, I'm 5'2". So that is very, very large. So you and I had talked about the possibilities of what I needed to do, looked into gastric bypass surgery, decided to move forward. And that happened. And so now I am down to 130-ish pounds. So I've lost a total of 200 pounds.
Wow.
And that journey itself, and a lot of people will say, oh, that's how you lost weight. It's so easy. It's not easy by any means. Mentally, emotionally, physically, everything about this type of journey is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you when you go in and you do your pre-counseling and you do your meeting with the surgeon, and they say, yeah, this is a tool, and that's exactly how it's referred to. It's a tool to help you, and they go through the reasons why it'll help, the physical changes that are going to happen inside of your body. But just like anything else, if you don't follow exactly what you need to follow, it's not going to work. So it's not some magic thing that people say, oh, you didn't have to work. You just had surgery. Why were you lazy? Why didn't you eat right? Why didn't you exercise? Obviously, if that would have worked, I would have never been fat. I would have, you know, eaten right and exercised and lost weight. Yeah, that's not how everybody's body works. And so there was a lot of guilt for even going that route at first until I met with, the surgeon and learned more and things like that. But that was a huge transformation in myself physically, obviously, but mentally and emotionally as well.
Mm-hmm. And being just watching you on that journey, you lose weight, but I think more importantly, you have to keep on working on your mental state and your emotional state, because your body may be changing, but mentally you might be stuck in like that same mode of before you started losing weight. And so, like, to address a couple of things, I hate it when like people say, "Oh, you had surgery, you took the easy way out." I've heard a lot of gym rats say that, but it's like every person is different. If working out at the gym 6 times a week works for you and your body, good health to you. But not everyone is like that. Something else too that I learned a lot about through you is like some people might have certain conditions that change their body weight. And so I learned about PCOS a lot through you. And so can you explain quickly what that is, PCOS?
Yes. So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I was diagnosed when I was 21. I was trying to, my ex and I wanted to have another child, trying to get pregnant, was not able to for a few years. So we went into a specialist and, a series of blood tests ensued and come to find out I had PCOS. So that is an endocrine hormonal imbalance in women. It was ignored for years and years and years. It's finally being researched more. It's called a syndrome and not specifically a disease. A disease has a certain set of symptoms, a certain set of things that pretty much everybody with this disease has these things happen to them. Syndrome is where there's a group of things that you could experience, but not everyone has the same experience. So you can have out of 50 of the different things associated, you could have 5, 10, someone could have all 50. So it could be where your periods are irregular, your periods are non-existent, which was my case, which is partly why I couldn't get pregnant. You have a hormonal imbalance. Some women have facial hair. Some women back in the day, back in, circus times, those bearded women, they say those women more than likely had PCOS because some women with PCOS can grow full facial hair. Severe acne. You have most women with PCOS, polycystic, right? Polycystic ovarian, have cysts on their ovaries. Now we're finding out not every woman has to have that to have PCOS. Difficulty losing weight because of the hormonal imbalances, insulin resistant. So things that you eat go right to fat. They don't even process in your body. So something that's completely out of your control. Male pattern baldness. So high testosterone levels, just all of these different symptoms that mess with you as a woman, as a person. Depression is high in women with PCOS. Exhaustion is high in women with PCOS. No matter how much or how little you sleep, you're just constantly exhausted. So all of these things that don't contribute to loving yourself, because physically and emotionally and mentally you're drained.
Mm-hmm. So, wow, you had, not only did you have the shyness and wanting to, be unseen and hating yourself, but then on top of that, you had the weight problem and the different symptoms of PCOS, and so all of this played a role into like just who you were and not loving yourself completely.
Absolutely. So, from a young age, one of my, like you said, not wanting to be seen, I had, even when I was thin, I had horrible acne, not knowing this is a symptom of PCOS. I'm 46, I still have acne. Now it's gotten better over years, but I have never not had acne ever, starting from the age of 12. But when I was a teen, it was really, really bad. And I'm talking the deep cystic acne when I was a teenager, where as a teen, you don't want to stand out anyway for something like that. But then having trauma in my life that made me hate myself, made me want to hide. Now, physically, I look ridiculous. I have all of this acne. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. My family was incredibly poor. We couldn't afford Clearasil or, anything to help with my acne. So here I am with these big, huge red cystic bumps all over my face. Really made me feel good.
and yeah, that can be rough on not only a teen but a young adult too, trying to find a place in the world. And when someone sees someone broken, for whatever reason, does this cause some people to prey on you?
For sure. I was very broken, just young teen, 12, 13 years old. Very broken. Home life was not the best home life. A lot of things were happening outside of my control, but were affecting me directly every single day. And I was preyed upon by someone who was close to the family. And, it was geared towards, even though you're 13 years old, if you do these things for me, as soon as you can when you're 18, I will save you. I will protect you. I will love you. I love you, so you have to do these things for me because I'm a 25-year-old man and I have needs, and you have to take care of that because I love you and I'm going to save you and give you the best life ever.
Yep. So sadly, there are people like that in the world that prey on the broken, and so no doubt that had to be something that was traumatic for you. It carried over into your adult years. Still, you're trying to find, what, like that part of you that's missing. You're still trying to find it, and so add to that the weight issues, and you had a lot going on. And especially when we met, that's we helped each other in different ways. You helped me to see that I need to see myself the way you saw me, so that I could stop self-harming myself. I tried to always let you know that you were worth more than you thought you were, and that you should stand up for yourself. You should have a voice. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. I think we helped each other a lot in those ways to kind of feel those voids that were missing in us.
I think we did too. It's still hard for me to stand up for myself and say no to certain people, just because of the way I was raised. You don't say no. Guilt had a lot of play in my life, growing up. You're guilted into doing things. If you don't want to do something, you're guilted. Narcissistic behavior from adults in my life at the time, which I did not even realize until just a few years ago. And now looking back, absolutely one of the people who was a strong influence in my life and still is part of my life. And I love this person very much, but I have come to realize that this person is a narcissist and shaped a lot of why I am how I am.
Yeah. But it's part of loving ourselves is standing up for ourselves. There are people that will prey on you. There are people, like you said, narcissists who always want things for themselves, want things their way. But like you have to stand up for whatever you believe in, your moral code. That's part of loving ourselves. And so this journey that you're on, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, like since you started taking care of yourself and loving yourself, like, are you happier now?
1,000,000%. You have mentioned that I am a completely different person, and our kids have mentioned that I'm a completely different person, which I feel bad for because, like I mentioned, when I was with my ex, I am a bitch. That's me, that's who I am, and that's how I'm going to be. If you don't like it, it's pretty much your problem. I don't care. But again, those certain people in my life I could never be that way with. Some family, right? Because of guilt and, but that's how I portrayed myself. But we got together. That's not who I wanted to be. Really, that's not who I ever wanted to be, but it was a protection. That's not who I wanted to be. And so with our kids, I absolutely never wanted to be that way. Even with, back with my ex, like I didn't want to be that person with my kids. I wanted to give them the world and I give them a loving, nurturing childhood that I frankly didn't have. So that's not who I ever wanted to be. I didn't realize that I still really was portraying that until my changes in the past 2 years and with the kids speaking up more. Our daughter is very vocal. But she says, Mom, we know you didn't feel good physically, emotionally, mentally. We know you had a lot. We know that's not who you were. But even you've said you never saw who I truly was. And honestly, I didn't either until now. Because now I'm working through things, not only the weight. And I try to tell, it wasn't because I was fat that I hated myself. It's all of this other stuff that I ignored, and it just manifested itself in other ways. Have I dealt with all of my trauma? No, because it's still really hard for me to. I still don't want to address a lot of trauma because, as you know, I hate to cry. I can't cry because for 40 years I've pushed trauma under the rug, and if I address it, I just can't. I can't imagine all of that coming out. But I've dealt with enough, and you and I have worked through enough stuff together individually about you personally, about me personally, and about us as a couple, that it has changed my life and helped me get to where I'm at now, which has made me a different and a happier person, which is seen by all.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely tell a change in you. And yeah, we all process things differently. But yeah, I think you have come a long way, especially with not letting people run you over and putting yourself in bad situations. And plus you have me. I'm always gonna protect you, as much as I can. And so I always like to talk full circle, especially on these interviews. I'm going to touch on it So, we have children. Is it, how do I want to word this? What do you do differently with them that you're not going to keep something going on? It's not going to be a generational curse. What do you do things that, I didn't like growing up like this, so this is how I want to treat my children?
I absolutely take every situation that I grew up with, and I will never allow that to affect my children. I will never do that to my children. So with my oldest, because I was young, even at 24, I did things the way I spoke to him. I'm not proud of. I would curse a lot, and what are you thinking? I realized that was part of my life growing up, the harsh talk. And even though that's not what I wanted for my son, there was a point when I noticed I'm doing the same thing. These things are slipping in. I was never physically abusive. I was never emotionally abusive. But the talk wasn't upbuilding. And so when I realized that, there was one time I said something to him, and the way he looked at me, I knew right there, even though I know that I'm not doing physical things or emotional things, my speech to him is affecting him. And from that moment, I started watching what I would say. Okay, instead of me screaming at you and having you go to your room if you did something wrong, let's have a conversation about it. I'm still the parent. What I say goes as far as discipline, but I want you to be able to have an open conversation with me. Why did you do this? What were you thinking? Tell me how you feel. Again, I'm the parent. What I say goes, but I want you to feel safe with me to come and talk to me, because I never felt safe as a child. And so that is how I have raised both my boys, applied to, your son, my stepson, and applied to our daughter. So all four of our children, I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel heard. Again, this isn't a child-run relationship. We have rules. You have to adhere to those rules. We have discipline. That's going to be in effect. But I want you to be able to tell me, this is what I did. This is why I felt like I could do it. And we can have that open conversation. Will it sway me? Maybe. I'm not a dictator, but I feel like we can have an open, honest relationship as me and you, still the parent, still guiding them. But it's not, I don't rule by an iron fist. Neither of us do. We have an open relationship with our kids. Now, it was not that way at the beginning. I know for you as a parent, for me as a parent, we had to work through that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's we found out quickly it was different, because it was the three boys first, and then our daughter is totally different raising a girl compared to boys, and so a lot of things that I was doing, negative things, I really had to take a deep look at myself and see, is this the way I wanted our daughter to think that life is? Or, is she going to grow up thinking that she can accept certain behaviors from a man? And so it was like totally different having a girl. And like you said, I did a lot of self-reflection about when I was in my first marriage, and I didn't like what I saw. And yeah, I did things, said things I wasn't proud of with my son from my first marriage. But life is all, and bettering yourself and loving yourself is all about recognizing faults in yourself, but fighting and making an effort to change. And so I'm proud that both of us, had some horrible experiences growing up, but we've put in the work to do what we need to, so that we try our best not to pass on any of that negativity to our children.
Definitely. And that's all you can do. That's all we can do. Our best with the tools that we've been given, and hopefully take the trauma, that you're going through or have gone through in the past, work through that, and not apply that into your life, especially into parenting. You don't want your kids to have that same experience.
Yeah. And so, like, a two-part question to the to the teenage girl out there, or the young adult woman who is struggling to find herself, find her identity, who might be inclined to just do whatever for someone just for the sake of feeling that love that she's missing. What would you tell her?
Do not try to find that love through anyone else. Get the help that you need to work on yourself. Mental health is a serious concern. You can't work through it by yourself. So reach out to a school counselor. They're amazing resources out there at schools. You typically reach out to the mental health crisis line, that can be anonymous. And they can help get you resources. Find resources in your community. There's free resources out there. And the way the laws are set up now, my concern was always, I didn't want my parents to know what I was talking about, because I would have had repercussions. That's not how it is now. There are laws in place to protect you and protect your privacy. Seek those out. Do what you need to do for you to protect yourself in any way you need it. You have to be number one and love yourself. And the way to get there is to get professional help. And it's not a bad thing. These people are there to help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of females, sadly, feel like they're all alone, or they don't have anyone that can listen to them, that their voice isn't heard. So yeah, by all means, they have so many things now available. So if you need help, please get it. And so the other part of the question is to the female out there that may be struggling with self-confidence or self-worth or self-love because of something physical about her. What would you say to her?
Do not let anyone dull your sparkle. I don't care what you look like, what you weigh. Do what makes you happy. So if you want to do your hair, but you still don't feel pretty, do your hair. Feel pretty for yourself. That was a big thing for me. Why put in the effort? Because I still weigh 330 pounds. I still am fat. Why do I need to do my makeup? I don't feel pretty. But you know what? taking that extra step to do whatever makes you feel pretty, regardless of what it is. Do what makes you feel good for yourself. And when you start doing that, you're going to start building confidence and you're going to start feeling better. And that is going to show on the outside.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I do remember those days where you even said it sometimes. What's the use of doing it, or something to that effect? But yeah, you have to do it for yourself. Make yourself feel good. And I've always told you, to me, weight doesn't define a person. So, like, I've always thought you were beautiful. So the weight didn't bother me or didn't affect me. But with a lot of people, the majority of people, weight is a huge issue for them with their self-esteem or their self-worth. So to see you fight through it to where you are now, and I tell you, I think you look marvelous now, and your confidence. What's even more important to me is your confidence. I can see it just going through the roof because you used to, because of your weight, I could tell like your whole demeanor was different. But now you're more outgoing. You smile more. So yeah, for any woman out there that struggles with that, just like do what makes you feel good. You're doing it for yourself first. It doesn't matter what people think or what they say. Do what makes you happy. And so, what is something that, like, what would you want to say, just as a closing comment? What would Michelle like to say to everyone?
Put yourself first. We, especially, I think, as women, as moms, as wives, we are taught not to put ourselves first because it's selfish. You need to take care of your spouse. You need to take care of your children. You need to take care of your work. You need to take care of your house. You need to take care of all of these different things. We have a lot of weight on our shoulders, even as a teenage girl, and if you take care of yourself, you're selfish. That is not the case at all. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else because you're drained, you're exhausted, you put yourself last. And it's just not true that if you take care of yourself, you're selfish. It's completely the opposite. If you take care of yourself, you're giving yourself the energy to fulfill your responsibilities, to take care of your kids, take care of whatever. Again, even as a teenage girl, you've got to take care of yourself because that's how you're going to put your best self forward to apply yourself in school, into your hobbies, into your friendships, anything. You've got to take care of yourself and put yourself first and love yourself before you can love anybody else.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about on this podcast. So yeah, I hope that you found value in this interview. This wasn't as bad as you thought, was it?
It wasn't. There's actually so much more we could talk about, but we've already been over an hour. So
like what? Anything else that I didn't touch on that you like to talk about?
No.
It's my show. I can go however long I want.
That's true. No, we're good.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope you found value in it. I tried to be easy on you, not ask too personal questions.
Thank you.
That's something I tell the people I interview. I kind of get deeper when it's just me, without giving away too much, but I always want to respect people who come on my shows. But the things I ask is because I want to, if there's anyone out there listening that may be going through it, I just want them to kind of get an idea of what we're talking about so that they realize that they aren't alone and things can get better.
Definitely. And if anybody has questions or anything, we're more than happy to answer them, because we've both been through a lot. So I bet you if a listener has a question, we've either been through it, or honestly, we know someone who's been through it. So we could give some advice.
Yeah. And if you have any questions or feedback, email me, mitch@themitchwright.com. You have, with your journey, the weight loss and everything, you have social media. Do you want to plug any of that now?
I might as well. So if you want to follow my weight loss journey, not only is it my weight loss journey, I give advice, answer questions, just have a whole community of trying to help people, which part of it is, self-care and self-love. But Instagram, it's radiant, RADIANT _new _YOU _WLS. So Radiant New You WLS, and there's an underscore in between all of them. So
all right. And you're also on TikTok.
I am, same, Radiant New You. So that one does not have underscores though, but Radiant New You. So it's a play on the surgery I have, but Radiant New You WLS on TikTok all runs together as one.
All right. Thank you. And it's, she answers questions. She'll post videos of like menu videos, what we ate for dinner, and the process that we take, and the each step, and photos, and then she'll give the recipe. So a lot of great things on there. Also, if you want to look into our lives more, I've never even mentioned this on any of my other episodes, but we do have a Facebook group about our family life. What is that, Michelle?
The Wrights, WRIGHTS, Full Circle Life. So that is our group on Facebook, and we go live twice a week. We slacked last week and we did not, but we go live twice a week. Tuesday, we talk about family, meal prep, kind of that side, more my side of the coin. And on Thursdays, we do marketing masterclass is what we call it. But Mitch talks about social media, just more business type, growing your company, things like that. And it's all free.
Yeah. So see, we stay busy, but
we do.
I just, like I said, I'm glad and excited and happy that you joined me. Evidently, people like the interview episode because the interview I did a couple of weeks ago, it is still like the #1 downloaded episode. So apparently you had a great idea. It's doing good for people to hear other people's experiences, not just hear me blab. But I can't wait to, like, when I post this, to see the numbers that it does, because I think not only are you my wife, I'm not just saying it because we're married, but I think you had a great story, and like it fits in well with the overall theme of my podcast about loving yourself. And you found love's prescription, which was spelled MITCH.
It was right.
No,
and
but
likewise, you got the same prescription. Just a little variation on the name.
Yes, I did. Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you again for joining me today. It was a pleasure.
Of course, maybe I'll join you again.
Oh yeah, I have a feeling you will. But to all my listeners, just keep fighting to be the best version of yourself. Do what you can day by day. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just say each day you're gonna do things better than you did the day before. So just keep fighting. I know sometimes it can be hard, but just keep pushing through. You can do it one day at a time. So until next week, have a great day. Have a great week. Go and do great things.